grid dies and servers have 10 seconds before diesel saves them. In that gap, something invisible has to keep thousands of servers alive, without a single flicker. Here's the catch. Servers can't survive even a blink of lost power. A dropout of 10 to 20 milliseconds crashes hardware and corrupts data. And a data center isn't a house. It draws megawatts non-stop, 20 to over 100. So backup really means instantly replacing a small power plant. Miss by one cycle and everything falls. So why 10 seconds? The real problem is timing. Utility power fails instantly. One moment it's there, the next it's gone. But a diesel generator is a cold engine. It needs 10 to 30 seconds to crank, spin up to speed, and take the full load. Nothing mechanical starts that fast, carrying megawatts. Think about it. You can't just wire the servers straight to a generator and hope. So engineers split the job in two. First, bridge the gap right now with stored energy that's already spinning or already charged. Second, hand off to diesel once it's ready to carry the weight for hours. That gives us a chain, and every layer has one job. Grid feeds the servers. When the grid dies, a battery or a flywheel, the ride-through, catches the load in milliseconds. Then diesel takes over for the long haul. Each link is timed so the load never notices the grid is gone. Start with the piece that never leaves the path, the UPS. Every watt reaching the servers already flows through it, all day, even when the grid is perfectly fine. It cleans up the power and holds a reserve of stored energy right in line. So when the grid drops, there's no switching moment to survive. The reserve is already carrying the load. The swap happens in under 10 milliseconds, faster than one cycle of the alternating current wave. Most of these run on batteries. Picture rows of cells, lead-acid or lithium-ion, stacked in cabinets. Direct current from those cells gets flipped into the alternating current servers need. Now here's the design choice. These banks aren't meant to run for hours. They're sized for maybe 5 to 15 minutes, enough to ride out a short blip, or to cover the weight while the generator starts. Meanwhile, a device called the transfer switch is watching. The instant it sees the outage, it signals the generator to fire up. The battery buys the time. The switch places the call. But batteries aren't the only way to bridge the gap. Some sites spin instead of charge. The alternative is a flywheel. Picture a heavy steel rotor spinning in a near vacuum at tens of thousands of RPM. That motion is energy, real, usable energy stored as pure speed. When the grid fails, that spinning mass drives a generator, and the slowing rotor pours its motion back out as electricity. Notice how long it lasts, though. A flywheel gives you only about 10 to 20 seconds. That sounds tiny. It's deliberate. A flywheel isn't trying to run the building. It only has to survive until diesel arrives, and diesel arrives in seconds. So I pick spinning steel over chemistry. The trade is real. A flywheel is compact, shrugs off heat, and lasts around 20 years with barely any maintenance, no cells to wear out and replace. The cost, it stores far less energy for its size. Perfect for a 10-second dash. Useless for a marathon. Now the endurance source arrives. This is the diesel generator, and it's the muscle of the whole system. Each unit is a big engine, often 2 to 3 megawatts, and a facility runs several in parallel, like an engine room on a ship. The engine spins a generator, and out comes power identical to what the grid delivered. Watch the startup, because this is the 10 seconds everything else was buying. The engine cranks. It climbs to its rated speed, held precisely at 1800 RPM so the output lands at a clean 60 Hz. Voltage steadies. Then a breaker snaps shut and the generator accepts the full load, all inside roughly 10 to 15 seconds. And here's what makes diesel the long-haul answer instead of batteries. Fuel. Tanks on site hold hours to days of runtime, often 24 to 72 hours, and a fuel truck refills them. Batteries drain and stop. A fueled engine can run essentially forever. That's the difference between bridging an outage and outlasting one. Now the trickiest moment of all, the handoff. The generator is up and steady, but the UPS or flywheel is still the one carrying the servers. So the load has to move smoothly from stored energy to the engine, without a bump the servers can feel. Once diesel is stable, the ride-through eases off and stops discharging. Then the batteries recharge or the flywheel spins back up, ready for the next event. But what if a generator fails to start during that swap? That's why nothing here is a single point of failure. Designs called N+1 or 2N mean spare generators and spare UPS units standing by, so one dead machine doesn't drop the load. And they don't just trust it. Data centers run scheduled drills where they deliberately cut the utility feed to the whole building and watch the entire chain fire on demand. It's called a black building test. Better to find the weak link on a Tuesday afternoon than during a real storm. Run the whole 10 seconds one more time, end to end. At time 0, the grid dies. In milliseconds, faster than you can blink, the UPS battery or flywheel is already carrying the servers, no flicker. The transfer switch sees the outage and signals the diesel to start. The engine cranks, climbs to speed, and steadies at 60 Hz by around the 10-second mark. The load slides onto the generator. The battery recharges, the flywheel spins back up, both ready to do it all again. Here's the real insight. Those 10 seconds aren't diesel being slow. They're a relay race, engineered so each runner covers exactly the stretch the next one needs to arrive. Milliseconds hand off to seconds. Seconds hand off to hours. That invisible choreography is what keeps your bank your stream, and the cloud running straight through outages you never even notice. So that's the trick. Milliseconds of stored energy by the seconds diesel needs to take over. Next time the lights flicker at home, remember, somewhere a data center just didn't. If the handoff itself fascinated you, the switching hardware that makes it seamless is a whole story of its own.